Some games just aren't as fun as they should be. Maybe the graphics look like they belong to the previous generation, or they're way too short. There are plenty of reasons why a game might not live up to expectations. But I'm sure you've experienced this too. One of those mediocre or not so great games that somehow hooked you, and you ended up really enjoying it. That definitely happened to me with a few Genesis titles, my very own 16-bit guilty pleasures. So, here are the 5 best Sega Genesis games with a score below 7 on Moby Games. Ready or not, here we go. Super Thunderblade is kind of an adaptation of Sega's arcade game for the Genesis, although apparently not many people liked it, since it has a score of just 5.8 on Moby Games. And yeah, it's not exactly a great game. It's a pretty basic shooter where you pilot a helicopter that can fire a machine gun and launch missiles to take down enemies. The gameplay is simple, and honestly, it doesn't stand out much. The only thing that makes it a bit different is the perspective. Instead of the usual side-scrolling view, it uses a third-person camera from behind the helicopter, and in some stages it switches to a top-down view, which was more common for the genre. But even then, graphically, it wasn't anything spectacular. Sega was the queen of the arcades, known for building machines that added real value to the experience, whether it was a car, a bike, a plane, or a helicopter. The original Thunderblade arcade cabinet was amazing. It actually moved and tilted like a real helicopter when you turned the controls. And honestly, that's probably why I enjoyed the Genesis version so much, because I played it using this joystick, which gave me that extra simulation feeling, almost like in the arcade. It completely changed the experience for me. Tasmania is a platformer released for the Genesis that holds a 6.6 score on Moby Games. Not terrible, but definitely not a masterpiece either. Just kind of average. As I've mentioned before, platformers are my favorite genre, and I've always loved the character of Taz, so this was a game I had to like. As a kid, I actually thought it was better than it really was, but with time, I realized it's a pretty middle-of-the-road game. The gameplay wasn't bad, and there are even a couple of stages that change things up, like the one where you ride a minecart dodging obstacles. Or the log riding stage on the river where you could jump toward or away from a stream, which is pretty cool. But overall, it was pretty basic and not too difficult, so the fun didn't last long. Visually, I remembered it as colorful and nicely animated, but looking back now, and comparing it to other Genesis games from that same year, like Out of This World, World of Illusion, or Sonic 2, Tasmania really looks more like an 8-bit game at times. It wasn't a bad game by any means, but you definitely enjoyed it more if you were a fan of the cartoon, like I was. Otherwise, it didn't really stand out. Wonder Boy 3 Monster Lair is a platformer and shooter hybrid adapted from the arcade version for the Genesis, and it holds a 6.7 score on Moby Games. Now, this is where I have to disagree. I honestly think that rating is too low. This game has solid gameplay and pretty decent graphics, especially considering it was released back in 1990 in Japan. It never actually came out in the US. Gameplay-wise, it's a classic arcade-style experience. In the first half of each stage, you control your character on foot, attacking with a sword that shoots projectiles, and you can pick up power-ups to change your weapon. Then, in the second half of the stage, it switches into a side-scrolling shooter, where your character rides a flying creature. Both parts are well executed and genuinely fun to play. Visually, Genesis was great at handling arcade ports, and for a 1990 release, this one looked fine. Sure, some of the backgrounds were pretty simple. They actually looked a bit like Master System quality, and the sprites were on the small side, but overall, it still looked good for the time. In my opinion, Wonder Boy 3 Monster Lair deserves at least a 7.4, or at the very least, something above a 7. Crackdown is another arcade action game with a top-down view, sitting at 6.8 on Moby Games, and once again, I don't agree with that score, but this time for the opposite reason. It's a shooter viewed from above, where you follow a map to locate several key points and plant bombs. Once you've placed them all, you need to reach the exit before the countdown hits 0. You can punch or kick enemies, fire bullets or missiles, and even throw a grenade that wipes out everything on screen. The gameplay is really simple, and I always felt the character's movement was a bit clunky. Trying to walk or shoot diagonally was honestly painful. As for the visuals, even though it's an arcade board, they weren't anything special. The distant top-down camera reminded me a little of Gauntlet. The HUD layout was also kind of a mess, with the map taking up the top half of the screen and the lower half split vertically for 2 players. The actual play area felt tiny. Add the zoomed out camera, and everything looked small and cramped. I never understood why the single player mode didn't expand to use the full bottom half of the screen. Still, as a guilty pleasure, I played this game a lot, but only in 2-player mode. Playing solo was just boring. So yeah, I definitely disagree with that 6.8 on Moby Games. It's too high, honestly. I'd give Crackdown around a 6.5, maybe 6.6 at best. Duel Master, developed by Sega, is what I'd call a hidden gem in the Genesis library, but I actually agree with its 6.8 score on Moby Games. Visually, it doesn't really stand out, but it looks fine for a 1991 release. The sprites are nicely detailed and a decent size, and there are even some cool touches like parallax scrolling in a few stages. The real highlight here is the gameplay. It's a platformer with action elements where you play as a wizard who can equip 2 rings on each hand to attack enemies or gain passive abilities like shields or higher jumps. You start with just 2 rings, but you can collect up to 12, mixing and matching them depending on your needs. By pressing start, you open a menu to assign rings to each hand, then press A to use the left hand and B for the right one. That's really what makes the game fun, finding new rings and experimenting with different combinations. I genuinely enjoyed this game, but I can't say I played it a lot. It's very short and repetitive, with only 5 fairly easy stages and not much replay value afterward. That's the main reason why I think it deserves to stay just below a 7, a fun concept that doesn't quite reach its full potential. And that's it. Those were my 16-bit guilty pleasures, the games I really enjoyed back in the day, even though they weren't exactly the best the Genesis had to offer. Now I'd love to know your guilty pleasures. Did you play any of these? Do you agree with my picks? Let me know down in the comments below. I'm signing off now, but before you go, don't forget to leave a like if you enjoyed the video, subscribe if you love classic games, and ring the bell so YouTube notifies you when I upload my next video, which will be coming very soon. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.